We are live here at the London Book Fair, March 12, 2024. We're here at Olympia. With us is our first amazing author for the book signing today here at Olympia, London. We have Dr. Theresa, the author of My COVID-19 Diary and A Happy, Healthy Revolution. How are you today, Dr. Lee?
I'm fine, thank you.
And like I said earlier, you were an amazing opening book
Thank
signing
you.
author. It was a success. The first 2 hours just flew.
It just
so
flew
fast. It flew by so fast. So how was the experience so far?
It's been amazing. I've met people from all over the world and different people just talking about my book. So it's been a very, very interesting and exciting adventure today.
You have been so inspiring to the ones you spoke with today.
Mm-hmm.
How was the experience? Like, walk us through each time you talk to them about the book.
People expressed some interest, and I would just explain to them what each of my book was about, I enjoyed listening to their own personal stories, why they were interested in even coming up to speak with me. So I'm hoping that this will generate a little bit of interest and publicity in the books. But thanks to ReadersMagnet, you guys were wonderful.
Oh, thank you so much, Doctor, because you are amazing. As I said earlier, you are in this beautiful creation. Tell us more about the background of this.
So
you're definitely from Hawaii.
I am from Hawaii. I'm a practicing pediatrician of 40 years. And my passion is to prevent pediatric obesity. So my first book, as a working mom with 4 children, I went through my depression at age 40 with 4 youngsters. And then my husband and business partner, also a physician, died suddenly after 30 years of marriage, 13 years ago. So anyway, I try to share in this book my family obesity workshops and try to educate young parents so that we can instill healthy habits in children from the beginning. But my second book, My COVID-19 Diary, when the pandemic began, this was an unprecedented time, and I wanted to keep in contact with my patients and families. So on day 1, March 23rd, 2020, I started writing a daily blog, expressing my raw emotions, anger, frustration, anxiety, and what I was doing to try to stay healthy. And so this book, I would end each blog with a scripture. Even if you're a non-believer, the words are comforting. To my surprise, at the end of the journey, December 2020, I found myself closer to God. People who never even thought of looking in the Bible began to search God and read the Bible. So I'm very happy that this book has resonated with many people.
Amazing. So as a pediatrician and somebody who is really trailblazed healthy living, especially for the children.
Yes.
How bad really is the problem, especially in the United States, all over the world, about obesity?
You know, the U.S. Surgeon General, he's declared pediatric obesity the #1 health crisis in America. And I think it's worldwide in westernized countries. We're seeing children, teenagers with diabetes, hypertension, and all of those problems. 20, 30 years from now, we are going to have a health crisis. And so what I'm here is to try to change the entire health system so that insurance companies will pay for prevention, not only sickness, and pay big pharma money for pills. We need to get to the root of the problem, and that is my mission now.
Exactly. So far as your efforts are concerned, besides having the book, have you gone to schools, conferences you have attended to where kids and parents have heard about your story?
No, but I'm working on an online program so that people anywhere in the world can access the family obesity workshops. I want to get the word out, and so ReadersMagnet is helping me get my books out there, and hopefully maybe a big publisher will pick it up.
Yeah, this has been a great opportunity as well for ReadersMagnet to be part of the London Book Fair.
Yes.
And you as well, especially there's a lot of decision makers who are here, rights acquisitions, and for me, the way you're telling us a story about your book, it's really layering in the medical field, even in the education field, like in school, wherein they have the chance to get a copy of your book because it's educating not just the kids, really it's the parents. We have to educate first
Yes.
about these things.
And it's hard because, you know, we have technology, children are on iPads, we have fast food restaurants everywhere. We need to just kind of have both mother and father together being co-captains, and we have to keep that family unit strong. Our country is only as strong as our family unit. So I am advocating for prevention and families. And I've been to 3 national pediatric conventions now talking about my family obesity workshop. So I hope this will begin to spread throughout the medical field as well.
What's the ultimate goal of writing this book?
The ultimate goal is to hopefully touch families and prevent disease. I really want people to enjoy the highest quality life and to enjoy life to the best possible health and have that health span, equal lifespan.
Amazing. It's been a great opportunity. Since the Festival of Storytellers, in which you passionately joined us, Readers Magnet, how's it been so far?
It's been just wonderful, and I really want to give kudos to Readers Magnet for helping me on this journey. I am a physician, not an author, so thank you for holding my hand throughout this journey. And I appreciate everything that you've been doing for me.
Likewise, we're very, very happy that you're part of our team. You have been such an amazing author as well. You're not only a good writer, but you really are a good speaker too. So
Thank you.
I want you to know that.
Thank you.
Right here, what else can you tell about our online watchers right now? About your book, about your story, and what's next to Dr. Reed after London Book Fair?
Well, what I want people to know is that it's never too late. And if you have people who really have lost hope, remember, no matter where you are, you can always restart. So never give up hope. There's always a chance that you can pick yourself up and take that first step towards better health. Again, I'm looking forward to the next 2 days of book signing here with Readers Magnet. After this, because I come from Hawaii, my husband and we will be taking a 7-day cruise to Europe to enjoy being out here. But thank you for allowing me to be here and being part of the Festival of Storytellers.
The London Book Fair. Okay, so there's so much to watch out for Dr. Theresa Reed, not just today, but also for the rest of the day, tomorrow, and until Thursday.
Yes,
here at the London Book Fair. You will hear more from Dr. Reed together with a co-author at Readers Magnet in the next few minutes. So please watch out after this commercial break.
Thank you.
What line?
MSC cruise.
Oh, fabulous. I used to work on the cruise.
Oh, which one?
I worked for Royal Caribbean.
Oh, yeah.
So we only have one microphone. This is
Oh, yeah.
a noise cancellation microphone.
Okay.
So if without this, we cannot be heard. Otherwise, we can only hear everyone in the background. So if you are not answering the question, you can pass on to.
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds good.
We'll start with Alyssa.
You want me to introduce myself or?
I'll be.
That I've given for free to families.
That's
Because the key is the family has to buy in.
Yeah.
And we are live here at the London Book Fair. Together with us are our dear invited authors here at the event. We have Alyssa Mortell. He's the author of the book Invisible Warriors. And together with us again is Dr. Theresa, author of 2 books, The Happy Healthy Revolution and My COVID-19 Diary. So we have invited both authors today because their topics are quite related. So let's start with Alyssa. Tell us more about yourself and your book.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Mortell, and I live with chronic illness myself. So I wrote this book, Invisible Warriors, which is about, it's a no jargon book that has helps people understand what it's like to live with chronic illness. It's part workbook, and it also has a story from a gentleman living here in the UK that kind of ties everything back together. It's a perfect book balancing what it's like to live with chronic illness, looking for advocacy without pity, and looking for communication without pride. So it helps kind of balance those scales together.
And Dr. Theresa is the author of My COVID-19 Diary.
Yes.
Tell us more about the book.
So I am 40 years private practice pediatrician. When we went into lockdown on day 1, I began to write a daily blog on social media just to keep in contact with my families. And, I wanted to share my emotions, my fear, anxiety, and also practical tips that I was doing to stay healthy. And believe it or not, it really resonated. People wanted me to continue writing. And so I'm very happy about that.
So both books are quite related, right? So let's start with Alyssa. What's the story revolving around one person, or it's really about chronic illness in general?
So this story is really about, it's not really a story. It's, again, like more workbook. It's about all kind of chronic illness. So I wrote it kind of for my dad. So I've been living with fibromyalgia my whole life, and then I developed a brain disorder in 2019. And I had to kind of heal myself, and I had to look to others to help me. And, trying to help others understand what you're going through with chronic illness when you don't look sick from the outside is extremely difficult. So what I did is I looked everywhere, scoured the internet, scoured the world, trying to find a resource that I could give to my family and my loved ones and say, this is what I'm going through, and it wasn't out there. So I wrote it. I created it. This is a great book that all of us need. Unfortunately, everyone knows someone or they themselves have some kind of invisible illness, whether it be mental, whether it be physical, fibromyalgia, arthritis, diabetes, something going on. And so I can give this to a loved one and they can read it and understand me better, understand someone they love better. I made it short on purpose because if you're going to give something to a loved one, you don't want it to be, a massive tome, but something that they can understand. Again, that's why it's a workbook, because it can really change their mindset.
Yeah. That really resonates with me because when I was 40 years old with 4 children under 10 years of age, for 1 year, I went undiagnosed with depression. And I had to I looked fine on the outside, but I didn't sleep. I lost 30 pounds. And so I understand chronic illness is not fun. And so this really resonates with me. 13 years ago, my husband of 30 years passed away suddenly, unexpectedly. I went through my second depression. And again, people don't understand the chronic mental illness, but it does affect you, and it's hard to explain unless you've really gone through with it. So I commend you for writing a book like this. It must have been very difficult, but yeah.
Yeah, and I worked with a lot of doctors and a lot of specialists and a lot of people to write this book. I didn't do it all alone. You know, I really worked with everybody saying, you know, how can I explain this properly? How can I make sure that everything is phrased properly? How can I say this in proper, you know, no jargon English? And working with a lot of mental health specialists, because there is a chapter in here on depression and anxiety, because it is unseen. You know, a lot of people get this, well, you look fine. Yeah, I look fine, but I'm not fine.
Right. You don't have a big cast on your foot.
Right, yeah. You know, your arm isn't broken. You're not in a wheelchair. Yeah, but I am inside, you know, and I need help.
Yeah. So one of the things that I learned regarding my chronic mental illness is I didn't take care of myself. You know, as a mom and a wife, you're always taking care of everyone else. And I realized how important self-care is. You know, when you're on the airplane, they always say, put your oxygen mask on first in order to help someone else. And so I have really taken that to heart.
And that's absolutely true. You really need to take care of yourself. And that's where this book really comes in, because it teaches you that advocacy part. And it teaches that communication part where you have to let go of a lot of pride and you have to let go of a lot of ego to get there. You know, isolation is a huge problem where you isolate yourself because you don't want your loved ones to feel sorry for you. You don't want to feel like a burden. Yeah. But once you isolate yourself, that turns into this really hard, you know, evil cycle.
Yeah, I think you go down the rabbit hole and you can't come back out.
Exactly. And you need to have that, you know, kind of talk with your loved ones and that communication where you're like, I don't want to feel like a burden, but you don't want to hear, you know, pity, which is so difficult.
And one of the things that I learned is I have to say no. You know, as a physician, you always want to go out and help people, but it's a hard lesson, but you know, I'll turn 70 in August, but I've learned how to say no and set my priorities and feel okay about it.
Which is a hard lesson to learn.
So please learn now.
Yes. And this ties into your book too, where you need the whole family. You were telling me about, you know, this. Tell me more.
So, you know, pediatric obesity is the #1 health crisis in America and around the world. So, you know, traditionally we send the fat child to a fat clinic, fix them up and send them back to us. Does not work like that. And we're seeing 50% of marriages break up. So I'm a marriage counselor as well as a pediatrician. Mothers and fathers need to be on the same page. They need to cooperate and parent together. And that's my message.
Which is a beautiful message. And, you know, I think with bullet points that you were talking about this book, it really ties into my book as well, where you have to have everybody on the same page.
Yes.
You really need to get everybody communicating, and you got to let go of a lot of that pride and
pride.
A lot of that ego and a lot of that, you know, I feel like a burden, you know, and with that chronic invisible illness, you know, obesity is one of the ones that I talk about in my book a lot too, where it's something where people say, oh, well, you don't look sick, but you are.
And I tell people, you know, they're obese for many, many years. I tell parents, it's never too late. You can always take that first step. And hopefully this book, it's short, it's simple, to the point. Hopefully you can take that first step towards better health.
I think for both books, both stories, maybe the background has something to do with being in denial. Because I'd like to ask Alyssa about this. For somebody who has had that experience, definitely there's millions out there who wants to be helped, but they don't know how to start. Like you said, it should start from accepting that you have it, and you need to reach out, right?
Right.
Can you help them? Can you walk through them? Tell them some tips and how to start, you know, not being in denial, how to start swallowing your pride and your ego.
Well, I think that's exactly one of the hardest parts, is that when you are sick, that first thing of accepting that, oh, wow, I can't do the things that I used to be able to do. I can't live the life that I used to be able to live is one of the hardest things ever, because it feels like the carpet is just ripped out from underneath you. And starting with this book is one of the best places to start, because it's part workbook. It's going to change your mindset about being sick. Personally, I developed a brain disorder in 2019. And so my whole life was taken away from me. The whole thing of becoming disabled, quote unquote disabled. I'll tell you right now, I'm happier now as a disabled person than I've ever been as a quote unquote healthy person. And it's an incredible place to come to. And being quote unquote sick or, an invisible warrior, I think is a hard place to come to, but an incredible place to get to. And it's, learning how to say no, learning how to set up boundaries.
And I think as someone who lost my first spouse, I think, you lost your health. I lost my husband. I think we have to go through the grieving process. It's a journey. And that's very important, to acknowledge the feelings, to accept it, to walk through that dark place and feel everything. Because if we deny it and sweep it under the rug, it's going to come out either in your physical health or mental health. So I definitely agree with your title, Invisible Warrior. We need to accept what we are given, but we have to learn to deal with it and move forward constructively. So your book is helping.
Thank you. I really, one thing I learned going through this journey is that one of the big, bad, scary things that I was looking at, which I thought was fear, I turned around and looked at that monster, and it was grief. It really was. Yeah. And it was just a small girl that looked like she needed to be hugged, and it was amazing. It really was. You do have to work through these emotions and these hard things, and you'll find it.
For myself, the grief journey, I think it was a God send. I got hooked up with a grief support group, and I went every month from the beginning. So for 13 years, I go to a monthly grief support. And I believe it's a lifelong journey that we have to deal with. And luckily, I was able to find love again. But, life continues. And I'm trying to share my experiences with others like Alyssa.
And one of the great places that you can come to, too, is on my website, ivwarriors.com. You can find resources there, which it's a subscription website, which keeps out a lot of trolls that we tend to find on the other social media sites, where you can learn that you're not alone. You find the forum there that people who live in isolation, which is a big problem with chronic illness, is that you do feel like you're alone, no matter what it is that you're suffering. You come together and other people are going through the exact same thing you're going through, and you find community. And the community aspect of anything that you're going through helps so immensely, because you find, I'm not alone. I'm not suffering alone. And that is just tremendous.
And especially if they've gone through chronic illness or if they've gone through grief. And even with my COVID-19 diary, even post-pandemic, we're seeing many seniors especially continue to be isolated, to be fearful. So hopefully with my book, my COVID-19 diary, I encourage people to reach out, to, not be afraid now, and to talk with others.
I think talking with others and finding that community is such a huge aspect of both of our books, of, families, finding other families to work through this together. With COVID, especially long COVID, we're really discovering now, finding other people in that community together is huge. I can't express how big that is. With her book, how people were asking you, Doctor, how to continue to write this, because how much that was helping people.
Yeah. It was amazing. The thing I learned was that journaling daily was actually helping myself. So that was the conclusion. That was the surprising take. And I encourage a lot of people to begin to journal, because as you write things down, you become more aware of your situation. You become more aware of the present, and maybe start to really dwell on what the next step can be.
Which is another big part of my book too, is, the questions and the workbook part of this book, where you journal and you take that advantage of that to really become present in the book and become present with the questions that are there.
Yeah. But
Amazing. Both of you are amazing. I know there's millions of people out there. They may not be authors, but they're struggling like you did. And I want them to be able to get, at least be able to have a chance to watch you guys and tell your story, that somebody out there was able to make it through it, and then was able to get over it, and now has a chance to write it in a book so that they can teach other people to do the same. So
Yes.
I'm very proud of what you have written. I'm very proud of your
Thank you.
stories and your backgrounds. And the world deserves to know about your book. So tell us where we can find your book.
You can find my book on Amazon.com or on my website, ivwarriors.com.
And for myself, Amazon, and my website, authorteresawee.com.
Thank you so much. So I believe Alyssa is going to be here for the rest of the day.
Yep.
How long are you going to be staying here in London for the London Book Fair?
I will be here all 3 days.
Awesome. So Alyssa Mortell is going to be here at 6 and 9 at ReadersMagnet booth for 3 days from today until Thursday here at the London Book Fair. So as well, Dr. Theresa, we will be here tomorrow.
2 more
Again,
days.
doing your book signing at
Yes.
11 in the morning.
Yes, tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Reader's Magnet.
Are you a fan of like Chronicles of Narnia, C.S. Lewis, anything like that?
I remember I used to read them when I was a lot younger.
Okay. Well, this is a book, father-son adventure, written for like 9 to 13-year-old age kids, and kind of starts off in the physical world like we live in, and jumps into the spiritual world. Like in Narnia, you have to go through like a wardrobe. You're going through like a castle gate to come into this one. and you're fighting alongside angels against demons. So it's really the fight of good and evil. Is this something you'd be interested in reading?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's like me to make it out to you? Miss Amber? And it's a light read, 220 some odd pages. Even my 7-year-old could read most of the words in this book. And my 10, 12, and 13-year-old kids love this book. So I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.
You too. Can I scan your badge? So CEO of Cochrane Publications. What sort of?
It was more a case of I'm pretty much the only person.
Okay.
It's something I started ages ago, but when I was after the visitors pass, it asked me about company. It wouldn't let me put no company, so I'm just there like I used my old one. I tried running a publishing company, and yeah, a lot of things just. Unfortunately, COVID came along and smacked us the next year. So
Yeah, I think COVID smacked everybody.
yeah.
Chris, these ladies, tell them.
Hello.
Yeah, so can you tell us about it?
So this book is similar to a story. If you guys like Chronicles of Narnia, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, C.S.
Yeah.
Lewis. So this starts off with a father-son adventure. Starts off the world that we live in, the physical world, and it dives into the spiritual world where the angels and demons reside. And the father and son are asked to fight with the angels against the demons. And obviously there's more humans in the story, but this is told through the father and son. Is this something you guys would be interested in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please, yeah. Keep aside, that would be wonderful.
Sure.
Is this your first or part of the series?
So this actually was 2 books. I condensed it down into 1. And I'm hoping to have another one in a couple years. Haven't got the middle of the book in my head figured out yet. Definitely have a lot of notes.
Well done. I know, but my sister-in-law, she writes exactly the same, that sort of fantasy.
Yes.
And she's not yet published. So,
Okay.
And she's been trying so hard. So.
Well, I started writing this when I had 2 kids, and I have 4 kids now.
Yeah,
So.
I think she's been doing it about the same length of time. So I would really intrigued to let her read it as well. Yeah.
So can I make it out to you?
Yeah, Vanessa. Vanessa.
Perfect.
That's lovely. Thank you very much.
Can I scan your badge?
Yeah, just-
Perfect. So I hope you ladies like this.
Yeah. So how long did it actually take you to get published? From actually
So I do self-publishing.
okay.
I had the first book written and then the second book, and I hadn't had the third book yet. And then a big publishing company told me to condense the first 2 into 1, and that had like 450 pages. And they're like, keep cutting it. And then I did that, and they're like, okay, now write books 2 and 3 now before you call us. And I'm like, well, okay, maybe in 5 years I'll have to call you. It's gonna take some time.
Such an achievement, though. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yes, please. Oh. So Sage Publications, are you guys looking for authors or?
Me here today, I work on the journal side.
Okay.
So journal subscription side is out. So not necessarily looking for authors. We're meeting agents within the industry. So in the academic market.
Okay.
The agents who act on our behalf and stuff like that. So yeah.
It's a very big industry.
massive industry, but I've been in it a long time.
Do you like it?
I love it. I've been in it since I left college many years ago.
Just a couple years.
Yeah, a good couple of years, yeah. And I've never never come out of it. I enjoy reading all sorts, you know, not necessarily the stuff that we publish.
Right.
I'm more into your fantasy and your fictional stuff personally.
Me too,
Yeah.
It makes for like a lighter read, because if you're into like the comedy or the drama, I think you get too emotionally involved in the story.
Yeah.
Where like
Escapism, isn't it? It's
right,
all
because
about
if you
escapism.
want to escape from reality.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I love the fantasy stuff, so I'll watch a fantasy movie. I'll, make notes on fantasy, think about a fantasy thing, but like to escape from the drama that we deal with every day.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I can see why you do it.
Well, yeah, I'm married, lovely wife Stephanie, going on 16 years now. I have 4 kids. I have a dog. He destroys everything.
Of course, that's what they're there for.
But it just, my kids like reading this. So I have 4 kids, and
Yeah.
3 of them have read. My oldest one has actually finished it, so she really likes it. And now it's a race for the other kids to see who likes it more and everything.
The proofreaders on hand.
Yes. She's like, Dad, I found a mistake. I'm like, well, that's not me. That's the editor.
It's always someone else's fault.
Yes.
I'm only responsible for the imagination.
Right. I can't edit for my life. I can't see my mistakes because I know my story.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, as long as that's told well, then that's what's important to you, isn't it?
Yes. Awesome.
Good luck. with
Well,
your
thank you
next
so
one.
much.
I look forward to reading it. I really do. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Well, you ladies have a good day.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you. Hello.
Also author.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
And what's your name?
Andrea.
Andrea.
I'm grandma. You're my grandma.
Sleepover.
The 3 books. That's me.
Well,
Is
that's
it a children's book?
yes.
Okay, that's the one I bought.
Awesome. Well, I would love to give this to you. So let's see, where is he? So that's Buznard Archibald.
Archibald.
Goes by Stephen.
Stephen, how cute is he?
So this is one of many stories with Stephen, and I only have 2 of my daughters in the story. And the second book is being illustrated right now, so maybe in a year we'll have the second book on the shelf.
Very nice.
And my son will be in the next book. I have 4 kids. So.
Special. I do this with my grandchildren, so I like your style.
Well, thank you.
Are there books that have done anything from
And you illustrate?
No, I illustrate
Okay.
for now.
Can I scan your? I think it's this one. All right, got it.
That's to my books now. This is,
It was your name, and
yeah,
some of
yeah.
your information was on it.
yeah, you can scan that and then you'll get
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
I will scan that. So this is for you,
Thank you.
and I can't draw for my life. I can do stick figures really well, but this girl Indra, she's out of the Netherlands.
Right.
I found her through a freelance company, and after several other artists. So she works for me now.
So what I've done is I did AI and self-published to get my feet wet.
Okay.
So the next series will take on an illustrator. Yeah. Reads kid, well.
That's great.
Yeah. I'd love to take a look.
Sure. Maybe James can take the picture.
James will.
He's right behind you.
James. You have your author badge and your book.
Well, Sunday was for the show. Yesterday was for the posters.
Is it okay if I post on my website or Facebook page?
Not at all. Go ahead.
Thanks and good luck to you.
You too.
Chris, some
Hello.
friends from India.
Hello.
Yeah.
Well, welcome.
They just
Hello.
want to ask you if you're
Hello.
interested also in translating to Hindi, right? But tell them about your book first.
Well, I haven't thought about translating it to Hindi. If there's definitely enough interest, by all means, yes. So this is a father-son adventure. It's similar to Chronicles of Narnia. You watched the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, C.S. Lewis. Okay. Well, it starts off in the physical world like we live in today, and it dives into the spiritual world where the angels and demons reside. And so the father and son are invited to fight alongside the angels against the threat, which is the demons. And this book actually started out as like I had a nightmare when I was sleeping. And over a couple of years, I kept having the same nightmare. And my wife told me.
It's kind of wet, but I'm sure you'll understand. Go ahead.
Did I spill water on it? Oops.
That's fine.
And my wife says you might as well turn this stuff, write it down before you become an old man and forget everything.
That's quite nice. Very interesting.
Yes.
And how's the journey been of writing and publishing?
It's been a long road. I started writing this when I had 2 kids. I have 4 kids now, and my youngest is 7 going on 8. Yeah, so it's been a long while. Several versions of this book over the years. This actually was 2 books, and I had like 400, almost 500 pages, and I was told to condense it down and then turn it into 1 book. And then had a larger company told me after I did that, it's like, okay, now go write books 2 and 3, and then call us and we'll sign you. But so we're a couple of years out from that one.
Yeah, India does have a lot of the premise. Yeah, they love fantasy. We love
Okay.
fantasy back in India.
He can sign it for you.
Oh yes, of course. I'm just gonna take 1 copy. I don't want to.
Yes.
Yeah, we can have kids sign it.
Sure. Did I spill water on that? Probably. We'll blame James.
Yeah.
Do I make it out to one of you, or?
You can make sure. Or you can pick it up to Saga. Actually, that's our publishing house.
Okay, sure. Oh, sorry. Perfect.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Hopefully you like this.
Yes. We'll let you know if we find something well in the market.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. You can tell us your opinion.
Okay, perfect. Can I take some pictures of your badges?
I'll give you a card.
Okay. Thank you so much. All right, let's just do this too, just in case I lose a business card today. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for stopping by. So we heard that you spilt water all over this.
Yes, it's your fault, James.
Is that my fault? Is it inside your bag?
I don't, there was no water in my bag. And my water bottle was over here on the other side, so maybe somebody else spilt water. Yeah, I never thought about having it written in Hindi. That'd be interesting.
No, interesting, right?
I'm not, not against writing it in any language as long as there's an audience that wants to read it.
This is Chris. Sabi ko ba ni Ben, I made this page
Yeah.
You have kids in you or
No. No. Me and I don't know, 80,000 friends.
You've been here.
Okay.
How many acres do you have?
1,200. That is
That's quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it?
I thought I had more of this.
Chris, the author of Castle Forks.
Hello.
I want to come back from a break. Off my break.
Yeah, we're just on our break. So on the way back,
They gave you a break?
yeah, we work here.
I'm just kidding.
They gave you water?
They did, yes. But I have to stay here all day.
For teenagers, right? And this is for young.
Yes, this is a 9 to 13-year-old range and children's picture book.
You are independent author?
Yes.
Regarding what's the theme of the book?
This is kind of like Chronicles of Narnia, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Rick Rodden.
If you like fantasy. Fantasy isn't for everybody, and that's okay. And this is your basic children's picture book that you read to a little kid at bedtime or teaching the little kid how to read.
You're doing most of these books?
I only have these two, so I'm only representing these two, but James is representing all of the books on the shelf.
And we are a bookstore.
Okay.
So if you want, you can send us your list. We are called Find Books.
Okay.
So you can send us your list. We also have our stores in Sharjah. So probably, we can look into it and we can put it on our website. If people have a requirement, we can probably get it out for you.
Okay, perfect. Can I take a picture of your badge too, just in case I lose the card? Great. Thank you.
Do send me your list.
I will do. Thank you. I'm practicing not touching one right now because I can't just have one. You're turning into candy. I live in Colorado Springs in Colorado. And where are you at?
Palm Beach, Florida.
Okay. So you're a snowbird. You puddle jump and fly to destinations throughout the year? You have a home in each location? Wow, very nice.
Very nice. We love Austria, Cyprus, beach, beautiful ocean. Did a good year.
Do you have an entire team working? It's possible that they moved your book for when they're going to... No, it was right there. I don't know. Maybe James will know. Oh, she just wanted to know her book was there and it wasn't.
All right, and we are live here at the London Book Fair 2024. Together with us are our dear authors, Gudrun, the author of Castle Venture, and we have here Jacqueline, the author of Race for Grant, and Andrea, the author of Grandma, Tell Me More. How are you ladies today?
Fantastic.
Fantastic,
It's
thank
beautiful
you.
here in London, and London did not disappoint us. It is raining like hell outside, so we are in a beautiful place inside, and it's amazing the outcome, the people that are roaming around, the people that are exhibiting, but also the interest in the different books.
Perfect. How about you, Andrea? How are you today?
I'm terrific, and I'm very honored and happy to be here. And you know, I'm very excited to meet the different publishers and be here with ReadersMagnet today. London, you're right, never disappoints. Been here several times, and each area brings something new and wonderful. And this is quite a convention over the next 3 days, and I look forward to meeting a lot of exceptional authors like these girls here as well.
And you, Jacqueline, who's with you today?
My husband Mark is with me today, and he is the champion of this book. He was there through the whole experience. So one of his favorite places to be in the whole world is a bookstore. So here he can just go crazy because there is so much to see.
I believe all three of you will be staying here in London for 3 days. Right?
Yes.
It's going to be a hell of an experience. Definitely, we'll be meeting a lot of authors. There will be traditional publishing companies also that will notice us. Hence, we are doing our live sessions. Everybody all around the world and subscribers of ReadersMagnet are watching us right now, and they can throw us some questions. We'll start with Jacqueline. So, Jacqueline, tell us more about Race for Grant. What's the story about?
One night I came home and he said, "Mom, I think I've had a stroke." So we went to the hospital, and the rest is kind of history. He had a brainstem tumor, and there's really nothing you can do about those. But he wanted this book written. He was going to write it with me. So this is his legacy, and it's also something that I thought would be very helpful for other people. And the byproduct is a lot of other people have said that they feel that this book has helped them go through their bereavement and their grieving process. So that was kind of an unexpected byproduct that I'm glad that people are getting something out of this more than just a story. Yeah, it was a very rough go. But
Maybe Andrea can relate to.
Well, I credit you for writing what must have been a very emotional and difficult book. And I will look forward to reading about your journey with your son.
Thank you.
And knowing that it doesn't end.
It was during the pandemic, so what else was I going to do?
Yeah. Well, I'm not so far off as well with my book, because the strangest thing is that this is not a love story, but it came out because my husband dealt with dementia, with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. And his illness was such an advanced stage that as a caretaker, I was not allowed to have anybody in the house. He would not let anyone in or anyone out. So for 2 years, I was basically stuck in my house, and I always wrote. And then my mother said, "Why don't you go back to writing?" And so I did. And this beautiful novel came out of grief. I mean, later on, he passed away. He passed away 2 years ago. But it was, and it was made in his honor. So that's actually the place where I live. So it's not a bad living.
Very nice, very nice. My book is, based on becoming a grandma. So I have been re-energized, remotivated based on my first grandchild. I have been writing my whole life, but for others, with the newspapers and a radio talk show hostess. And when I was observing the behavior patterns of my grandson, I sat with him. And Salvador is actually the co-author of this book, and he's a little under 3 years old. And I observed his actions and his little words. I conferred with him on the graphics. He pointed out the ones that he really liked, and I wrote this book in dedication and honor and being motivated by my grandson and becoming a grandma. What they say about becoming a grandma is all true. The only thing that isn't, when they say, oh, then we can give them back, I never want to give them back. Never. So, to my grandchildren, I dedicate these and the future books as well.
Very nice, Jacqueline. When did it all start? When you woke up one morning and you thought, you know what, I'm going to write a book?
It was time. It was during the pandemic, and I had been thinking about it. There were so many, hundreds of thousands of people who followed this journey on social media. All we did when doing daily updates as to what was going on with him, where he was in the process. Back into my computer and pulled all of those updates, all those posts. Started. It took me about 85 days to write this book. It was very quick. I'm not even sure I wrote it. I think he wrote it.
Understood.
My fingers were going so fast over the keyboard, I would look at Mark and say, I don't think I'm writing this. Somebody else is writing this. So it was a very quick journey.
And for Andrea to put your story in a book about your grandchildren and about being a grandma, that happens to be the best thing that happened to you?
I equate it with being first place with another huge event, and that was raising my two children. That was the best part of my life, and this ties as first place, being a grandma, with that same. And as I look at my grandchildren, because I also have a granddaughter who was born on July 4th, and another granddaughter coming on April 10th. Okay. And as I look at them, yes, I know that life continues through them, and that it's important to celebrate generational love. That's the theme of all of my books, generational love. Yep. And that it continues from generation to generation.
Talking about love, I believe that really is the background of your book.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you just bring New York to Tuscany for this?
Yeah, basically, so I invented the characters in the beginning. I invented the characters in the beginning. So Erica is just about to get married, lives the high society of the Escalades of New York City with her fiancé Greg. Then she gets a registered letter and all hell breaks loose because she inherited property in Tuscany, in Italy. Her intention was to go there, sell the properties, but the properties came with a stimulation that she had to live there for 5 months, and after the 5 months staying there, she can then inherit the properties. During this period, she finds out that the properties she inherited from her grandfather. She learns about the background of the grandfather. And then this is when I came in, because the properties exist. Nirvana is a medieval town that was abandoned in 1953. That we purchased in 2000 and restored, and now it houses our guests, and it's a hotel and a bed and breakfast. And then Casa Alvento, which is on the cover, which is my home and my vineyards. So I'm a winemaker as well. And I wrote all of these experiences in there. So then before I came to Tuscany, I didn't even know how to boil an egg. And now I love to cook. And the oil and the winemaking process, the Chianti, the history of Chianti Classico, and the passion that the people have who live there. All my neighbors, and this year especially because we're celebrating 100 years of the Chianti Classico Consortium. So we're everywhere in the world showing our wines, and Chianti became such a great atmosphere. So we also put in this book Florence, the historic place, the Renaissance time, Siena, and a bit of history in there, but not in a chewing gum version, but in a small version. So when people read this book, they feel like traveling to Tuscany. They feel like when they open up a Chianti Classico that the gin is coming out of the bottle. And I guess I achieved that because I did win the bestseller nominees in 5 different categories. So it was a dream come true. It's the passion. You know, in the United States, everything goes so fast. You forget to see the rainbow. You forget to smell the roses. You forget about life, and everything else is more important. But in Italy, the family, like you with your grandkids, you're taking time. This is not normal in the United States anymore.
It is.
And they're fighting to get the kids already to school when they're 1 year old, because otherwise they will not get the right education, because there's too many kids out and they're all standing in line. And so it's a very funny thing. And every time when somebody's in my home and they ask me, "So Gudrun, what are we eating tonight?" I said, "Just go out in the garden and let's see what the garden gives us." And that's what we're going to go and cook. And then, of course, we enjoy our good wine.
So it seems to me that Andrea really has also a good background that makes you probably travel.
I certainly do, and I have been to Italy. I toured all of Italy. What a beautiful country.
Yes.
But the United States is the United States. It's an amazing country, and although we are quicker paced, our love for our family is equal, if not more. We love our children. We love our grandchildren. And you're right. There's all different types of families, and that's what this book tries to express. And that's okay. It's okay to come from any kind of a family. The most important thing is that you feel love.
Yeah.
And the love that you carry with you, whether you're near mommy, whether you're near daddy, whether they're at work, that you feel that love that's going to give you the confidence to be a successful adult. And Italy's gorgeous. And again, we are quicker paced here in New York, but our love for our family is phenomenal.
Exactly. How about you, Jack? In terms of the family, pretty much the background of your story is really about a family.
Absolutely. The day he came in and said he had a stroke, there was our house was that house where all the kids were always there. And some of them there, I think, because they didn't want to be at home, maybe, and they knew they were safe there. And Grant was always very gracious with every kid that ever passed through that door, and tell me there was so many. So it's always been one of those places to be where where you're safe, you're loved, and we cook, we watch TV. In fact, after Grant passed, till we moved 3 years later, that house was still full of kids. They would still come, watch TV in the den, come to dinner, be there outside on the patio. I'd come home and they'd be sitting out on the patio, even though Grant's not there. They'd be communing in the patio, reliving his life. Now they're grown. They're all moving away, getting married, those things now. But for those first 3 years, they were still in that house all the time. So it's pretty wonderful. In fact, 2 of them live with us now.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, his best friend and his wife live with us.
That's so special.
He's my sales, she's my marketing director.
That's how it worked out.
When we have company meetings, we text each other and we step in the hall. Our bedroom's here, their bedroom's there. And when she and I need to talk about something, we open up the door and step in the hall. It's a small commute.
So the family that brings us together. No, like any other family, there's ups and downs, right? And being an author, you said that you wrote this book for more than 80 days. How do you keep that momentum in writing the book, Andrea?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your
last. How
last.
do you keep that inspiration and momentum in writing the book?
I look at
what do you do when you sometimes you don't have it? You just don't feel like writing.
I wish I had more time to write. Actually, it energizes me, and I look at my grandson and my little granddaughter now too, and my coming up granddaughter, and it inspires me to no end. So what everybody talks about is family, whether, it's your child, it's a child or a husband, right? Or the joy of, being a grandma. And it's all about family, no matter where you are, whatever the bonds are, whatever situation you're going through. And I'm back to love. I'm back to love with that. That's what really counts.
How many pages of your book has all been to? It seems to me it's quite a long story.
320.
And for sure, there were times that you probably don't feel like writing. So what do you do? Any tips to aspiring writers?
Okay, so what I did from time to time is like you have a bit of a writer's block. So I go and watch movies, and I'm listening to music, and I actually write with music. And I'm an old-fashioned. I love my fountain pens, so I write everything first down. My ideas with things on a piece of paper, and then I have my glass of wine. The fantasy goes through with you, and then I go to bed. I make sure now that I number my pages, so that the next day that I know exactly what the sequences were, because I would forget.
That's
and
funny.
that is so, yeah, and I love the way I write.
Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night.
Yes.
And I have my phone and I go to my notes and I type it in.
Yep.
And just so that I remember it for the following
I do
day.
the same. And you know what else I did? So I love to watch people. And I have a diary, and every day I write something in this diary. So I have actually characters that once came across my life. And I had this guy that he used to work for us. His name was Craig, and we always called him Craig the Snake because he was so mean. And so he became one of the characters. And also on the property, all the characters that are there, so in the book, they actually exist. And I have a girl in my household, so her name is Deborah, and she's from Nigeria, and she's been working for me for 23 years. So we had to change the names, and she wanted to be Tina. And I said to her, Deborah, Tina is not a name that will fit you. She says, I want to be Tina. I want to be Tina. So I named her Tina. But yeah, very funny memories. And so
How
many.
long did it take you to write that
It's
book?
like, I was told about, it's 9 months, like giving birth to a child, which I never did, but it took 9 months to write it. And then I was in Austria in my home, and the weather was very bad. I was going through the sequences. I want to make sure that everything is okay before I write it off. And lightning hit me. And hit my computer. My computer was dead. So I'm going back in. I said, oh my God, I lost my book. Yes, I had everything written down by hand anyway, but still. It took me forever. I had to go call my guy in the United States, time difference, wait until the next day. I was I was so exhausted by the time he called. And then he was going into my computer and he was recuperating it, but it did not come back in sequences. It came completely out of whack. So I had to reread everything and also then rewrite. And I think that was the best thing that could have ever happened. The book got better and better.
Okay, see,
so
there's a reason for it.
They always say if there's one door closes, 2 windows are opening up. Correct. So I guess that happened.
Correct. I was going to say about the iCloud. Wasn't it stored into your iCloud?
Yes, but when the time comes and it hits you straight on, it did not come into sequences back.
But
so
again, it worked out better for you.
It worked out better.
Exactly. All right, it's going to be an amazing addition to the good memories that you'll have here at London Book Fair. I know you guys will be seeing it for 3 days. You may very quickly invite them to be here at London Book Fair, and you tell us your whereabouts where we can find your books. Let's start with Jackie.
I come from Tampa, Florida, and born and raised in Ohio. But the books can be found on a couple of different sites. They're on Amazon. They are also on my blog and the site that's dedicated to Grant, which is called livelifesrichmoments.com. And then my author site, JacquelineFarthingGalvin.com. So that's where they all are. And the other books as well, because I murder people when I'm not doing this. So you asked, what did you do? If you have a writer's block, write something else. So I go and murder people, and then I come back to whatever else I'm working on.
I'm doing my first murder novel.
Oh.
Death Under the Christmas Tree.
Death Under the Christmas Tree? Oh, a holiday novel. That's nice.
That's funny.
Well, I would like to thank you so much for having me and all of us here. Reader's Magnet, I appreciate that you had faith and confidence and reached out to me. I wouldn't have been here unless that phone call from Jerwin came through and Bim followed up on it. So thank you to Reader's Magnet. And I have 3 books. So I have they're the Grandma Tell Me More series. This one is My Family Loves Me. The others are Sleepover at Grandma's and Special Places in Grandma's Home. You gotta have the cookie jar. So you can find us on Amazon. Right now we're in the self-published. And just look under Andrea Peponakis, and that might be a little difficult. It's a Greek name, Peponakis. Or you could just search my grandson's name, which is so easy, Salvatore Thomas. And our books will come up. All 3 books have also been translated into Spanish, which I'm fluent in. I did all the translating as well. And thank you. The next series of books that are coming up, we're looking to get traditionally published this time. So thank you so much.
I think also to the whole team, and I would not be here in London as well if it would not be for you guys. Very persistent. And my book, you can get on Amazon. You can get it at Barnes & Noble. You can get it on Goodreads. You can also get it on with my name, gudrun.com. And with that said, I wish everybody a happy day. We're enjoying our stay here. And nice to meet you too.
We'll be at your house for wine.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, livanano.it, Italy. It's the hotel to be. So cheers and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. See you next time.
minute of every day, you know. But there's no pollution. The only pollution would be heat pollution, but you use that heat to produce your electricity, right? So, let me sign this thing. Huh?
I would love a copy of that.
Yeah.
Right?
So, where do you get your hydrogen from?
Me?
Yeah.
Personally?
Yeah. They go out in space and they collect it.
Yeah.
And it gets hijacked on the way back to their ship. They run into all kinds of problems. Right, right. So there you go, sweetie.
So lovely to meet you.
Yes.
I'm very excited. Thanks for this.
You're welcome. You'll enjoy it. It's a fun read.
I'm excited. Thank you so much.
Uh-huh. Hi. Do you like science fiction?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like everything.
Do you know what fusion is?
Right.
Where you fuse two hydrogens and produce helium?
Okay.
That's what the sun does every second of every day.
Okay.
If we can do fusion, that would solve all of our energy problems.
Okay.
But where do you get your hydrogen from?
I don't know.
They go out in space and collect it.
Okay.
And so their collectors can get pirated on the way back to their ship. They can run into problems bringing it back, but they bring the hydrogen back for our fusion plants on Earth.
Yeah.
And that's what this sci-fi story is about.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's a fun read.
Yeah.
It actually has science in it. A lot of sci-fi is soft sci-fi. It's fantasy.
Okay.
It doesn't have much science in it anymore.
Okay.
But this is written like the old science fiction stories,
Yeah.
like
Okay.
Michael Crichton in 2001, that sort of thing. But it's a good science fiction story.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
It's an easy read. Yeah. Mhm.
Hello.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Oh, wait a minute. I need her to sign in.
Yes.
Can you sign in for her?
Of course I will. Give me a second.
Yes.
I get it. Yeah.
You like me to prepare more?
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Thank you. Thank you. Would you like one too?
Yes.
Yeah. Both of you need to sign in.
Hello.
There you go. Enjoy it. Yeah, it's a fun read.
I haven't
nice day. You too, sweetie. You too.
I mean, I really couldn't see us. I couldn't see you guys. It might be a big fit for you. I better explain what we do. What put in your leg? Why would I put in your leg? Why? Why would I put in your leg? This is ReadersMagnet, yeah? This is Readers. Alright, so we are. No, with the guy's car. How's it going so far?
Very good. Very good, yes. No, I'm here.
Oh, you wait after 3 days. Hey. Oh, right, I like that. You know, we had a big stand, which is obviously we serve wine. Next year,
We need food. Yes, they're going fast. I know.
You have to serve wine. I do. Really Tuscan. I love it. So you actually create wine.
Well, hello. Yes. Do you like science fiction?
You know it.
Okay. Do you know what fusion is?
I do not.
Where you fuse two hydrogens and produce helium. That would solve all of our energy problems if we could do fusion, right? No pollution, generate, that's what the sun does every second of every day. But where do you get your hydrogen from? In hydrogen runner, they go out and collect it in space. Space is loaded with it. And their collectors get pirated and hijacked, but they bring the hydrogen back to Earth for our fusion plants.
Wow.
And that's what this is about. Here you go.
Thank you.
Sign in for me if you wouldn't mind.
Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes. You want one too? I was a chemistry major and I just enjoy science. That's all. That's all. It's a fun read. It's a fun, easy read for sci-fi book.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be fun. There you go, sweetheart.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, I did for me.
Thank you.
There you go. Thank you. I love this book.
What did you bring in wine? My daughter got married in Tuscany, so I knew you were going to ask that. Very near Pisa. Do you? Beautiful. That's where you go inside. I've got 5 Exactly. You don't know that's why that's right. Okay, so I've got 11 fights. It was a big mistake. And why was it about 500 acres?
Hi.
So we lived there with 100 people.
Hi.
Hi, that's me. Lovely wedding.
Do you like science fiction? Yeah. Do you know what fusion is?
I mix it too.
Where you fuse two hydrogens and produce helium. That would solve all of our energy problems, right? Yeah. But where do you get your hydrogen from? They go out in space and collect it. Space is loaded with it from the solar flares and stuff. And their collectors get hijacked on the way back to their ship. So that's what Hydrogen Runner is about. People that go out and collect hydrogen for our fusion plants.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you'll enjoy it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Uh-oh. I didn't get him to sign in.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, see, chase him down. Get him to sign in for me. I didn't get him to sign in.
Okay, but I scanned.
Oh, you scanned them?
So you
Okay.
haven't read their names, right?
Yeah.
Some of them, and then some of them I scanned.
Yeah, I didn't get him to sign. Hello. Do you like science fiction?
Yes.
Yes. Do you know what fusion is?
Fusion?
Yes.
Is it what, like nuclear fusion?
Yes.
I do, yeah.
They fuse two hydrogens and get helium. It's what the sun does every second of every day. That would solve all of our energy problems, wouldn't it? Where do you get your hydrogen from?
I should know this. I've got chemistry A level. I mean, it's a long time ago and stuff. Didn't we just take it from
Water.
Yeah.
But then that would use up all your water, now wouldn't it? So what they do is they go out in space and collect hydrogen. Space is loaded with it. They can get it from solar flares, they can get it from Jupiter, and their collectors get hijacked on the way back to their ship. But that's what Hydrogen Runner is about. They go out in space, collect the hydrogen for our fusion plants on Earth. You go, sweetie. Yeah, enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. It's a fun read.
Oh, good.
Yeah. It's written like the old science fiction stories where they have actual science in them, like Arthur Clarke and Michael Crichton. There's a lot of science fantasy books written, but they have no science in them.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it like that, but that is true.
Yeah. But in order to be science fiction, you have to have science in it.
Very true.
So this does.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Enjoy. Yes. Do you find Jabberwocky?
Yes. It's over there. It's not too far.
Oh, good.
It's in the other sections.
Okay, I'll take him a sci-fi book. They specialize in sci-fi books.
Okay. Yep.
I've given away at least 20 books.
Oh, good. All righty.
But I haven't seen any CEOs or anything like that. So I'll take this over to Deborah. Did you find the Royal Chemicals?
No, I haven't. Let me look them up now. I know where Jabberwocky is.
Well, take him a copy of my book for me.
No, you take it. Because they're going to ask questions and you need to talk to them.
Okay. Science fiction.
Science fiction.
Do you like that? Yes. Hydrogen Runner. It's about we can do fusion. and that would solve all of our energy problems.
Okay.
But they go out in space to collect the hydrogen for our fusion plants on Earth.
Okay.
And that's what Hydrogen Runner is about.
And when did you?
It's a fun read. It's written like the old science fiction stories.
Sweet. I haven't had lunch yet, so I'm sugary up. May I?
Mm-hmm.
Can it be?
There you go.
And you signed it?
I did indeed. I did indeed.
It's printed in the States.
Excuse me?
Is it printed in the States?
Yes, uh-huh.
Lots of this.
Sign in for me if you could. Sign your name. I'm going to take a break. I got to go for 1 minute and come back. Can I?
Nice to meet you.
Yes, yes. Okay, take me to Jabberwocky Press.
Oh, okay. What's their name again? The Chemical Society?
All right, and we are live. I believe you're here live here at London.
Well, tell me about all that ends well. Yeah, what's all that ends well?
We have here Claudia, Leber, the author of the book Hydrogen Runner, and the author of several books like The Ultimate Sacrifice. We have Peter. How are you today?
We're fine, aren't we?
Yes, we're doing
fine.
Amazing.
I know he's waiting outside, but how do you find London so far?
Well, I am English, you know. Wet, damp, and I miss Florida.
You miss Florida. I know it's cold too.
Yeah, it's cold.
How about you, Claudia? How are you too?
Hi, good. I'm just figuring out London. I have never been here before.
Great pubs.
Yes, we went for Indian food yesterday. Yes, Indian cuisine, and it was delicious.
We did Chinese yesterday. We went to Chinatown.
Yes.
Right behind Trafalgar Square.
Okay.
It's a really good place to go.
Okay.
But Peter is from, I'm not sure if you're from England, but you said your parents are here.
No, my parents both dead, unfortunately. But I was born in England, raised in England, and then I left. I used to go to school in Vienna during the summer. My father's from Vienna. The very first book, The Following Storm, was based on his life events. A lot of them I didn't know, but he was the backbone to that book.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is your story about them?
No, I said he's the backbone, but you know, what happened was 5 years ago I contracted lymphoma. So I was kind of, no, it's not that bad. I was stuck at home, and my wife said to me, why don't I, she said, you've got all these stories. Why don't you just start writing them down? I was looking for an escape. That was my escape. I started writing, been writing ever since. What started you writing?
I've liked science. My degree's in chemistry, and I've liked science my whole life.
Ah, no wonder.
So that's why I wrote Hydrogen Runner, science fiction. I love science fiction, any kind of science fiction. And I like especially the older science fiction books that actually have science in them, not the science fantasy books that don't have any science in them.
That's something I didn't know.
Yeah.
You gotta educate us then. The difference between science fiction and science fantasy.
Yes, there's a lot of science fantasy. They call it soft science, and it doesn't have really any science in it. But I like the ones that do. Like Michael Crichton books have science in them. And Arthur Clarke books have science in them. And so does Isaac Asimov. I like the old science fiction books. And
So you do a lot of research then?
Yes,
That's what I do.
it takes some. And that's just thrilling to me to talk about involving science in our everyday life. I mean, without that, we wouldn't have anything in our life.
Very true.
So And science fiction predicts what will happen in the future. A point. To a point. Look at Jules Verne, his journey.
Vision.
Yes.
Which is now reality.
Yes, it's amazing. It's amazing. And that was all science fiction at one time. And so you have to push the boundaries a little bit. And that's what science fiction
But we
does.
are doing that right now.
Yes.
Look what we're holding.
Yes, that's
what we're looking at.
Yeah, that pushes the boundaries a little bit. And we have to do that. And
Is that what your story is about? Tell us more about your story.
Hydrogen runners, we can do fusion. That would solve all of our energy problems.
Very true.
There's an electrical outlet in every wall in every house. And we went from wood to coal to gas. We have to develop.
Hydrogen's the next one.
Right. We have to develop new forms of energy. And so if we can do fusion, which the sun does every second of every day, that would solve, it's no pollution. It produces helium. The only pollution would be heat pollution, but the heat we use to generate our electricity. And if we can do fusion, that would solve all of our problems. We'd have energy for the rest of mankind for as long as we live.
Endless fuel.
Yeah. But where do they get their hydrogen from? You don't want to use up your water.
No.
So they go out in space and collect it. Space is loaded with it. They can get it from flares from the sun, from the Jupiter atmosphere, all over the place. There's hydrogen. And the hydrogen collectors bring it back to Earth for our fusion plants. But the collectors get stolen on the way back to their ship. Or the collectors, they run into problems. And that's what hydrogen runners deal with and what the story is about. And it's a fun sci-fi story. And
also a very nice cover.
It's a sci-fi story, but
very
I want to ask
practical.
you, it's very practical. But do we have a hydrogen runner in real life?
No, we don't. But we need to. And it involves science stations, and because there's a lunar station where the hydrogen runners dock, and then there's a station near the sun where they dock to send out their collectors. There's more to the story than just that, but it needs people to think along those lines. It's what it needs to have done.
So how about you, Peter? You have written several books. Which one here is your favorite?
Well, I got 6 or 7 out right now. That's the one I like the best. That one there.
Maybe you can show it to our audience.
Sure, I'd be glad to. Oh, if I don't knock everything over. Right?
What's the story about?
Okay, it takes place in 1940, and it starts off at the evacuation of Dunkirk. So there's a lot of research has to go into that, because I always say, if you're going to write a book that's historic fiction, you better make sure your facts are correct. So I've done a lot of research. But this is the second book in the series. The Falling Storm was the first one. And because of that book, I started this one, and that turned into a 4-book series. But the first book was originally a one-off. It was a one-book wonder, I called it. But that starts off in Dunkirk, and the character is actually an ex-merchant marine. But it was because they were using every ship under the sun in England to evacuate troops from the beaches. He was brought back in, even though he was in the intelligence corps. That is all true. That was my father. All I done is I developed a character out of his character. So, and then it goes on from there, things that happened to him, and I don't want to give a lot away, but what happened, how he went back into France because the Germans had taken over, and then there's a romance in there. My wife is French, so if you get married to a Frenchman, you know what you got to have. So, but the response to it has been excellent.
When you wrote all 7 books.
Yeah.
So it's not a question at all that you really love writing?
I do, because, as I said, I only started it because I was looking for an escape when I had cancer. And it was hurting, but I found if I was harnessing my mind to start writing, I wasn't thinking about anything else. That's how I started. Never. I mean, I've written manuals. I mean, I was an aerospace engineer, and then I worked for NASA for 6 years. So I was used to writing technical manuals, but never anything like this. Never. We're kind of similar in that respect, aren't we? So, I mean, that's what got me started. So, every book in that series follows one man. And that's Carl Vida. From the very start, 1936, all the way through to 1950-something. And it's got a good following because the characters are very strong. Well, you're good at this. The characters are. This is a new one, but this book here is nothing to do with the series. It's the same. It's the same year, 1940. But the book I'm writing now, which is The Unexpected Encounter, has nothing to do with any of this. It takes place in the 60s. It's a thriller, and it's actually it's a spy book. But that's started off, and then I'm also writing another one with a German, a very well-known German singer, and that one should be out next year. So I got my plate full.
Wow.
And I also write lyrics.
So how long have you been writing?
Well, actually, it gets back to when I used to write was all technical manuals, but writing what I do now, 5 years. That's all.
Wow.
Yeah, only 5 years.
So was this during the pandemic or prior to the pandemic?
No, it was during that, because 5 years ago when I started, I had cancer, as I just said, and that was my escape, and that started it. So during the pandemic, I also carried on writing, and it was something for me to do instead of getting bored. So
that's amazing. That's very good. And I'm happy to know that you have written already 6 to 7 books and a series, right?
The series, yeah, and then 3 other ones. But I think you can't get tailored into one area. I know a lot of the well-known authors, they stick into one thing. I did that for 4 books, 5 books actually, and then I went in different directions, and that's what I'm doing now. Because I think if you get tailored, you get you get worn out.
How about you, Claudia? How many books have you written besides?
2. I've just written this and a children's book.
And do you have a children's book? Maybe you can show it to the world.
Yes.
What your children's book is.
Very good. I looked at it this morning.
What is
Open
it
it
about?
up.
It's about a little boy that Grammy picks her up and brings him into the kitchen when she's cooking. And he falls asleep in the chair in the kitchen. But he is aware of his surroundings as well as dreaming. He dreams a dream, and then he's aware of the cooking and the smells from the stove.
Association.
Right, and the chatter from the people who come down to eat. And he's aware of everything that's going on in the kitchen. And he says he has 2 dreams in the dream chair, but he likes his Grammy's dream the best because of the love that fills the kitchen. And that's the story of the little boy. If anybody's been taken care of and someone's cooked for them, they know the love that fills the kitchen when they wake up. So he says, I have 2 dreams in the dream chair. I like my Grammy's dream the best because of the feel of the soft blanket, the smells from the stove, the chatter of all the people.
That boy.
Yes.
Sounds like me.
Yes.
It's like all boys. So.
Yes.
So
And
is
all
that-
the
is it
love that
based
fills the kitchen.
Is it based on a real life story about a specific person?
Well, everybody experiences this.
It's true.
And I have a 2-year-old that reads it to their dolls every night before they go to bed. She sleeps with that book. She loves it so much. But now that we're getting away from the families, people don't have that connection.
Good point.
With the families. They don't have somebody that cares about them. Everybody needs someone that will care about them. And this Grammy chose him to keep her company while she was cooking breakfast. And he just was aware of the surroundings, but he was also dreaming in the chair. And you need to have that family connection. And those that don't have that,
Don't you think the modern day with cell phones, this, that, and the other. Kids today, grown ups too, they don't really communicate like they
Right,
used to. It's all
right.
like,
No, it doesn't take communication. It just takes
yeah.
being there with a presence.
But
being
that's
there.
the interface from the old days.
Yeah, right.
And we've sadly lost a lot of it.
Yeah, we're losing it. And so that's what the Dream Chair is about. Not to lose that connection with your children, you know. And so that's a children's book. And then this is my sci-fi book. And I'm writing the sequel to Hydrogen Runner.
Good, excellent. I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, very slowly. But
Do you have a title already of the sequel?
yes, it's called Hydrogen Runner Jupiter Station. And it's
Wow.
when they go to Jupiter.
Thank you.